All right, hey guys, it's Axe. It's still Sunday, April 30th, around noon. I want to default the PCRI's video with a quick look at ES, just so we can zoom out and see the bigger picture and get a sense for what's happened and where we're going. So the first thing I want to talk about is basically, these zones are zones that I've tracked, liquidity areas, as you know. And basically what happened is last week, if we go to the end of the quarter, right, we had this breakout of this zone. And we continued to set sort of what you could call a divergent high. We got a little bit of a sell signal when we came down, and we basically tested the top of this liquidity area, which had been resistance for a long period of time, right? It basically started in September of 2022. We came back up and probed it to try and fill that liquidity. We came back and we broke out of it, but we failed on the retest and went lower. And that basically set up this rally from, and that was a lick fill from 38.40. And so we came down and refilled that area, and we finally broke out again. And basically what happened last week was a retest of that breakout. So is this zone complete and passed for good? I don't know. Who knows? But I know that above this yellow box here, we were looking at this zone here. And let's go back to the 4-hour chart. You can see this is a perfect breakout and retest. I mean, that's so clean. It's so lovely. So basically we had this chop zone that got in, felt like we spent forever in here, right? And we broke out of it. And there's this wick up here at the top of this, or the bottom bounds of this box, 41.99. It seems to me that as long as we're above 41.75, 41.99 gets tested, and maybe up to 42.17. I could see us coming up to the top of this box, filling this wick, bouncing back down to 41.75 and coming back up. This could be like a 5-wave impulse. Just to give you an idea, again, Elliott wave is not my thing, but I like to pretend. So, we could get something, I don't know. That's just an example of what we could get. But anyway, we had this breakout, and if you just, let's see here, just to do some quick, I'm out of practice, guys. I haven't done enough videos. Can't even find my, there you go. You could say, okay, well, let's do something like this. So we're almost, that target takes us right around here to 4,200. So 4,200, I think, is our near-term target. It's not all that dissimilar from what we saw here. But anyway, there are some zones. Let me go back to the daily. There are some zones that I would love to see us fill. Obviously, we'd love to fill this 3,500. But if you go back and look at COVID, there was this zone down here that, this 2000s that, and this wick from December of 18. That was like 2 years later, a year and a half. So it can take some time. So I'm not going to sit around and wait for this and be like, I'm not buying until we get 3,500, because who knows, we might not get it for years if we get it ever. I do think at some point this 3770 to 3780 or 3800 needs to test. But again, I'm not going to sit around and wait for it. You could argue that there was enough volume and chop in that area that made this insufficient. I just felt like we front ran that level here in December of 2022. And that it needs a clean test, but we may not get it. And again, this box from 38.40 to 39.15, that's pretty ugly. That's pretty messy. I think we could see, they front ran that one too. I would like to fill this wick. I think all these will come in time, but the one thing I think for sure we're going to get is like 40.30 ES. I just think if you look anytime we saw a major breakout like that, we went higher and then came back down. We've got this trend line here. I stick with the wick because I think it's very clear just looking at it that it works. Right, we had the breakdown, retest, fail, retest, fail. We could get one more retest up into here, and to fill this zone, it could even go, there's room up into 43.60, 43.80, depending on how long, if this goes into June or something like that. But I think if that happens, you're going to look at the RSI down here and say, okay, well, the RSI could be divergent from here, and then maybe we got to come back down, and that's when we fill this area. So, we could come back up, back down. Who knows what the order is, but we basically see we're going to go box to box. Okay, so above 41.75, we're going to test this box, at least the bottom of it. Okay, if we clear this one, we're going to test here, 42.60 to 4,300, let's just call it, maybe even 43.20. So if 41.75 fails, we're going to come back down and fill this in, maybe do a second retest of that breakout, maybe 40.30, if this fails. I think this is going to be a pretty strong demand zone. If we do come back down into 40.30, I think we will, and when we get that, it'll definitely be a buy. So basically, we're gonna look to get long above any of these boxes or on a clean retest, right? So on this retest of 40.80, and it's my bad, I was busy doing some other things and I didn't get to call it out, but this retest of 40.80, that was a clean buy. Now we're gonna look for a rejection somewhere around here, maybe breaks us a little bit lower, gives us a chance to buy again for a run up here. I don't, as I said in the PCRIs, I don't really see anything that's super bearish. We are slightly divergent. and you could say we're divergent down to like 3,800, but that can take time. It can take time, and maybe we come up here and we correct that by setting a higher high, a confirmed higher high in the next 30 days or so. If I go to the weekly chart, very clean. You know, we had the breakdown. We're back testing it. We're going to try like this wick could get filled at some point, but you know, maybe that wick fill was filling these wicks. John Wick. It looks clean to me. It looks pretty bullish. We're basically breakout, retest, fade, retest. I mean, we're just playing like Super Mario Brothers here, climbing from one brick to the next. And I just, it's very similar to what we've seen in past rallies. Sure, we could eventually get a sell signal and fade, but I think we're just a long way from a sell signal. I don't really see anything that is super bearish on the tape or on the chart. So that's where we're at. If we get a clean rejection up here and it's very strong and it breaks some support, like if we do break 4150, I think that's of note. But until then, we're just going to keep taking it one level at a time. It's pretty clean, pretty clear. I'll post this chart when I post a video so you guys can keep an eye on it. But let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this helps. Sometimes when you just zoom out and ignore the daily noise, it really makes a big difference.